New juvenile crime data sheds light on just how many charges have been filed over the last decade.
The details show a trend of rising criminal activity, mirroring what Fox 45 News has reported for years. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost is in our newsroom with some of the details for us tonight. Mackenzie.
Mary and Kai, for years we've heard the pleas for change from police, prosecutors, and parents about making adjustments to various juvenile justice laws. And in 2024, lawmakers did just that. Leaders then started to tout they believed that juvenile crime was going down. However, this data that we received from the Baltimore City State's Attorney's Office really paints a different picture. And experts say policies and leadership play a role. We've seen example after example after example of young people getting involved in crime, sometimes violently. Data from the Baltimore City State's Attorney's Office shows an upward trend when looking at total felonies charged. In 2015, there were 680 charges. A decade later, that number jumped to 882.
I mean, I think it does. It's clear the numbers have increased significantly, and these are young people involved in all categories of crime, but in particular looking at those robberies, carjackings, and weapons violations. These are kids carrying firearms.
Former Baltimore Police Deputy Commissioner Jason Johnson says there are likely several reasons for the rise in violent felony charges. In 2022, the General Assembly passed a law called the Juvenile Justice Reform Act. It said kids 13 and younger could no longer face charges for most crimes, and it altered what crimes young offenders could be charged with overall. Then in early 2023, Vincent Schiraldi was confirmed as the leader of the Department of Juvenile Services with a philosophy geared toward leniency instead of consequences.
There are always multiple factors involved in these, but one of the leading factors has got to be the fact that if you are a young person, a juvenile, who is inclined to be involved in any of these types of criminal activities, when there's no real consequence for that, of course, you are more drawn to that. If there's no downside, it's only upside, and so we'll just keep doing it.
Fox 45 News reported on kids finding themselves picked up by police only to be released hours later. One 11-year-old, for example, was captured by police 17 times for car theft and burglary in 2023. Each time the child was released to his family, no charges filed. Carjacking and auto theft charges plummeted in 2022, dipping to 123. In 2023, when cars were being stolen at record levels in Baltimore, there were just 151 charges. In 2024, after lawmakers made tweaks to the laws, there were 362 charges recorded and 348 in 2025. Crimes of violence have increased too over the last 10 years. The data shows there were just 327 charges in 2015. There were 102 violent crime charges in 2022, and in 2025, it soared to 484. In addition to policies and leadership within DJS, Johnson points to another change that's likely playing a role in the data as well.
The second factor involved is that these are cases that are being brought under the current state's attorney's office headed by the state's attorney, Ivan Bates, and they're being compared with cases that were being brought under the prior state's attorney, Marilyn Mosby. And so totally different philosophies there.
A certain percentage of juveniles are going to escalate, especially, again, if they're not punished.
Retired Sergeant Betsy Smith with the National Police Association says policies from DJS allowing kids to cycle through the system has had real impacts on communities.
The Department of Juvenile Services is tasked with treating juveniles differently than adults in the criminal justice system, but they are not tasked with ignoring the crimes committed by juveniles, and they are not tasked with ignoring the needs and the rights of the crime victims.
With a new leader at DJS vowing to ensure policies are followed and kids are facing consequences, only time will determine what the data shows to see if there will be accountability for the actions of young offenders. We'll continue to track this data and information, as well as hold elected leaders accountable for what's going on in your community. Live in the newsroom, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
I'm Mary Bubala. Thank you for watching. Here's another video for you to watch. Also take some time to subscribe to our YouTube channel.